But it is just 2 years, a little bit more than 2 years, since many of these same people drummed Hosni Mubarak out of office. It's only a year since Mohamed Morsi was elected by many people like Safe here, who voted for him. So what went so wrong? Our Foreign Affairs editor, Lindsay Hilson, looked back at failed democracy.
Soldiers protected Mohamed Morsi when he voted in presidential elections last June. It was Egypt's democratic moment. Tahrir Square erupted with enthusiasm when he won. Not only die-hard Muslim Brotherhood supporters, but also secular liberals, keen to keep out the candidate of the army, voted him in. And even the military, the Brotherhood's long-time rivals, respected the result. But soon after he was sworn in, the wrangling began. The Muslim Brotherhood-dominated parliament pushed through a constitution that offended secularists. Then Mr. Morsi granted himself almost absolute powers. Compromise was not his style.
I would like to say to you all, here and everywhere else, supporters and opponents, it doesn't worry me that I have opponents. On the contrary, I want there to be a real and strong opposition. I've reserved all rights for my brothers in the opposition, so they can even hold a revolution if they must.
And sure enough, they did. Protests erupting sporadically until today. The majority of Egyptians are poor and rural. Many supported Mr. Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood, but he's lost popularity because his government has brought the economy to the brink of collapse and poverty has increased.
Key failing of the Morsi presidency has been his inability to be able to build trust amongst the political system in which he inherited. It's a very difficult job, but the job was to try and pull in as many of the different political parties and groupings, as well as the street and the sentiments of the majority of the people.
The Brotherhood was suppressed for decades. Its goal of Islamic rule seen as a threat to the secular state and to Egypt's powerful military. Mr. Morsi came up through its ranks and spent time in prison. The military tried to manage the 2011 Arab Spring uprising, soldiers refusing to fire on the young secular protesters. But in the end, Egyptian politics always pits the Brotherhood against the military. The liberals get squeezed out. In the last 2 weeks, Mr. Morsi made 2 fatal blunders. He appointed as governor in Luxor a man who had once been in an extremist jihadi group that used to attack tourists in Luxor. Then he held a rally for Syria and allowed an aide to suggest Egyptians should go and fight jihad alongside the rebels. That was the last straw for the generals, who feared he was creating a new generation of jihadis, armed extremists. Tonight, Mr. Morsi may be a captive of the Egyptian military, but he's a victim of his own failure.